Chapter 1. The Early Life of Cleopatra. The Nile River flowed gently through the heart of Egypt, its waters shimmering under the golden sun. On its banks stood the grand city of Alexandria, a place of wonder and knowledge. In this city, in the year 69 BC, a girl was born who would become one of the most famous women in history. Her name was Cleopatra. From a young age, Cleopatra was different from other children. While her friends played in the palace gardens, she preferred to sit quietly, reading scrolls and studying maps. Her father, Ptolemy IV, was the pharaoh of Egypt. He loved Cleopatra dearly and recognized her intelligence and curiosity. He made sure she received the best education possible. Cleopatra learned many languages, including Greek, Egyptian, and Latin. She enjoyed studying mathematics and astronomy, finding the stars and numbers fascinating. The Great Library of Alexandria, one of the largest libraries in the ancient world, became her second home. She spent countless hours there, lost in the scrolls and books. Each day, she absorbed more knowledge, preparing herself for the future she knew would be challenging. Cleopatra's family life was complicated. The Ptolemaic dynasty was filled with intrigue and power struggles. Her father, Ptolemy XIV, faced many challenges during his reign. There were threats from within Egypt and from the mighty Roman Empire. Cleopatra watched and learned from these struggles, understanding that ruling Egypt required wisdom and strength. As Cleopatra grew older, she became more involved in the politics of her country. She listened to her father's advisors and observed the court's workings. She saw how alliances were made and broken, how trust could be a rare commodity in the palace. Cleopatra knew that to protect her people and her kingdom, she would need to be clever and brave. One day, when Cleopatra was about 14 years old, a great change came to her life. Her father was forced to flee Egypt due to political unrest. Cleopatra and her younger brother, Ptolemy XIII, were left to rule in his absence. It was a daunting task for someone so young, but Cleopatra did not shy away from her responsibilities. She quickly proved herself to be a capable and intelligent leader. She worked tirelessly to stabilize the kingdom, showing a maturity beyond her years. Cleopatra's charm and eloquence won her many allies, and her strategic mind helped her navigate the complex political landscape. She knew that every decision she made could have significant consequences for her people. Cleopatra's intelligence and beauty were renowned throughout the ancient world. Her education had made her not just a scholar, but also a captivating speaker. She could converse with scholars and soldiers alike, understanding the intricacies of their fields. Her ability to switch between languages with ease impressed everyone she met. It was said that Cleopatra could hold her own in any conversation, whether it was about philosophy or the latest military strategies. Despite the challenges she faced, Cleopatra's love for her country never wavered. She often took long walks along the banks of the Nile, reflecting on the history of her land. She thought about the great pharaohs who had come before her and the legacy she wanted to leave behind. Cleopatra knew that Egypt was a land of great potential, a kingdom that had once been the jewel of the ancient world. She was determined to restore its glory. The years passed, and Cleopatra's wisdom and leadership grew stronger. She faced many trials, but each one only made her more resilient. She learned to trust her instincts and to use her intelligence to outmaneuver her enemies. Cleopatra understood that knowledge was power, and she never stopped seeking new information. The great library remained her sanctuary, a place where she could find peace and inspiration. Cleopatra's journey was just beginning. She knew that the path ahead would be filled with challenges and opportunities, but she was ready. With her sharp mind and unyielding determination, Cleopatra was prepared to face whatever came her way. She was not just a queen. She was a symbol of strength and wisdom for her people. Chapter 2. The Rise to Power. I remember the day my journey to power truly began. My father, Ptolemy the Puend, was in Rome, seeking support against our enemies. I was left in Alexandria, surrounded by advisors and courtiers who doubted me. I was just 18, but I knew I had to be strong for my people. I had to prove myself as a leader. The first challenge I faced was from my own brother, Ptolemy XIII. We were supposed to rule together, but he and his advisors wanted to push me aside. They believed a young woman could not lead Egypt. I knew I had to act quickly to secure my position. I decided to gather support from those loyal to me. I spoke to the priests, the soldiers, and the common people. I used my intelligence and charm to win them over. I promised them a better future, a stronger Egypt. Slowly, they began to see me as their true leader. One evening, as the sun set over the Nile, I called a meeting with my most trusted advisors. We gathered in a small, dimly lit room in the palace. I laid out my plans to take control from my brother. It was a risky move, but I knew it was necessary. "We must act swiftly," I said, my voice steady. "We cannot let them push us aside. We must show them that I am the rightful ruler of Egypt." My advisors nodded, their faces serious. They believed in me, and that gave me strength. Over the next few weeks, we worked tirelessly to gain more support. We sent messages to our allies and gathered our forces. Then, the day came when I had to confront my brother. It was early morning, and the palace was quiet. I walked into the throne room, my heart pounding. Ptolemy XIII sat on the throne, surrounded by his advisors. He looked surprised to see me. "Sister, what are you doing here?" he asked, his voice cold. "I am here to take my place as the rightful ruler of Egypt," I replied, standing tall. His advisors began to protest, but I raised my hand to silence them. "I have the support of the people," I said firmly. "They believe in me, and they know I can lead them to a better future." My brother's face twisted with anger. "You are just a girl," he spat. "You cannot rule Egypt." I took a deep breath, calming my nerves. "I am more than capable," I said, "and I will prove it to you." With that, my loyal soldiers entered the throne room, their swords drawn. The advisors stepped back, fear in their eyes. Ptolemy XIII had no choice but to surrender. I had won the first battle. With my brother out of the way, I began to focus on the challenges facing Egypt. The country was in turmoil, with threats from within and from the Roman Empire. I knew I had to act quickly to stabilize the kingdom. I spent long hours in the Great Library, studying the history of Egypt and the strategies of past rulers. I spoke to scholars and advisors, gathering as much knowledge as I could. I knew that to be a great leader, I needed to be well informed. One of the biggest challenges I faced was gaining the support of Rome. The Romans were powerful, and their influence in Egypt was growing. I knew I needed their backing to secure my position. I decided to send a message to Julius Caesar, the most powerful man in Rome. I offered him an alliance, promising him wealth and support in exchange for his help. It was a bold move, but I knew it was necessary. Caesar agreed to meet with me. He arrived in Alexandria with his army, and I prepared to greet him. I knew this meeting could determine the future of my reign. The night before our meeting, I devised a plan to make a strong impression. I had myself rolled up in a carpet and delivered to Caesar's chambers. When the carpet was unrolled, I stood before him, my eyes meeting his. "Queen Cleopatra," he said, a smile playing on his lips, "you are full of surprises." "I am here to seek your support," I said, my voice steady. "Together we can bring stability to Egypt and strengthen our alliance." Caesar was impressed by my boldness and intelligence. He agreed to support me, and our alliance was sealed. With Rome's backing, I was able to secure my position as the Queen of Egypt. Over the next few years, I worked tirelessly to rebuild Egypt. I strengthened our economy, improved our infrastructure, and promoted education. I wanted to create a prosperous and powerful kingdom. There were many challenges along the way. I faced opposition from within and threats from outside. But I never wavered. I knew that I had a duty to my people, and I was determined to fulfill it. One of the most difficult times was when my father passed away. It was a great loss, but I knew I had to remain strong. I took on the full responsibilities of the throne, determined to honor his legacy. Through it all, I remained focused on my goal, to make Egypt a great and powerful kingdom once more. I knew it would not be easy, but I was ready to face any challenge that came my way. My journey to power was filled with trials and tribulations, but it made me stronger. I learned to trust my instincts and to rely on my intelligence and courage. I knew that as long as I remained true to myself, I could overcome any obstacle. As I stood on the balcony of the palace, looking out over the Nile, I felt a sense of pride. I had come a long way, but my journey was far from over. I knew that there were still many challenges ahead, but I was ready to face them. I was Cleopatra, the Queen of Egypt, and I would lead my people to greatness. Chapter 3. Cleopatra meets Julius Caesar. The city of Alexandria was tense with anticipation. Julius Caesar, the most powerful man in Rome, had arrived with his army. I knew this was my chance to secure Egypt's future, but I had to make a strong impression. I had to meet Caesar face to face, but how could I do that when my enemies surrounded him? I came up with a bold plan. That night, under the cover of darkness, I had myself wrapped in a thick, luxurious carpet. My trusted servant, Apollodorus, carried the heavy bundle through the palace, carefully avoiding the guards. We reached Caesar's chambers, and Apollodorus presented the carpet to the Roman leader as a gift. Caesar ordered the carpet to be unrolled. As it unfurled, I emerged, standing tall and confident. Caesar's eyes widened in surprise, then softened with admiration. He was impressed by my daring. "Queen Cleopatra," he said, his voice warm, "you are full of surprises." "I seek your support," I replied, my voice steady. "Together, we can bring stability to Egypt and strengthen our alliance." Caesar smiled, clearly amused and intrigued. "You have courage and intelligence. Let us discuss how we can help each other." That night we talked for hours. I explained the political situation in Egypt and the threats I faced from my brother, Ptolemy XIII. Caesar listened intently, his eyes never leaving mine. He saw my determination and my vision for a strong, united Egypt. We formed a bond that night, one based on mutual respect and shared goals. Caesar agreed to support my claim to the throne. In return, I promised to aid him in his own ambitions. The next day, Caesar called for a meeting with Ptolemy XIII. My brother arrived with his advisers, unaware of the alliance I had formed with Caesar. He was shocked to see me standing beside the Roman general. "Brother," I began, "it is time to end this conflict. Egypt needs strong leadership, and with Caesar's support, we can achieve peace and prosperity." Ptolemy XIII's face twisted with anger. "You have betrayed us by bringing a Roman into our affairs," he spat. "Egypt needs Rome's support," I replied calmly. "Together, we can secure our kingdom's future." Caesar stepped forward, his presence commanding the room. "Ptolemy, it is in your best interest to cooperate. Cleopatra and I have agreed to work together for the good of Egypt." Seeing no other option, my brother reluctantly agreed. We signed a treaty, and for a moment, peace returned to Egypt. With Caesar's support, I began to rebuild my kingdom. We worked closely together, strengthening Egypt's economy and military. Caesar admired my intelligence and strategic mind, and I valued his experience and power. Over time, our alliance grew stronger. Caesar became more than just a political partner. He became my confidant and friend. We shared our dreams and fears, our hopes for the future. But our relationship also stirred jealousy and tension within the palace. Many of my advisors and courtiers did not trust the Romans. They feared that Caesar would use his influence to take control of Egypt. I assured them that our alliance was based on mutual respect and shared goals. Despite the challenges, I remained focused on my vision for a prosperous Egypt. I traveled across the kingdom, meeting with leaders and gaining their support. I listened to the people's concerns and worked to address them. I wanted to show them that I was a queen who cared about their well-being. One evening, Caesar and I took a walk along the banks of the Nile. The air was cool, and the stars shone brightly in the night sky. We talked about the future and the challenges we still faced. "Cleopatra," Caesar said, "you have a rare gift. You can inspire people and make them believe in a better future. That is what makes you a true leader." I smiled, touched by his words. "And you, Caesar, have given me the strength and support I needed to achieve my dreams. Together, we can accomplish great things." As we stood by the river, I felt a sense of hope and determination. I knew that with Caesar by my side, I could overcome any obstacle. I was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead and to lead Egypt into a new era of prosperity. Our alliance withstood many trials. There were battles to fight and enemies to outmaneuver, but through it all, Caesar and I remained steadfast in our commitment to each other and to our shared vision for Egypt. The bond between us grew stronger each day, built on trust, respect, and a shared determination to create a better future for our people. Our story was just beginning, and I knew that together we would shape the destiny of Egypt and leave a lasting legacy. Chapter 4. The romance begins. After our first meeting, the bond between Caesar and me grew stronger each day. Our alliance was not just political but also personal. We spent hours talking about our dreams, our fears, and our plans for the future. I admired his strength and intelligence, and he was captivated by my charm and determination. Caesar and I began to spend more time together. We walked through the gardens of the palace, discussing strategies and plans for Egypt. We dined together, enjoying the exotic foods and wines of our land. Our conversations were deep and meaningful, and I felt a connection with him that I had never felt before. Our relationship soon turned into something more. One evening, as we stood on the balcony of the palace, looking out over the Nile, Caesar took my hand. His touch was gentle but firm, and I felt a warmth spread through me. "Cleopatra," he said softly, "you are unlike anyone I have ever met. Your strength, your intelligence, your beauty, they all inspire me." I looked into his eyes and saw sincerity and passion. "Caesar," I replied, "you have given me hope and support. With you, I feel I can achieve anything." That night, our relationship changed forever. We became lovers, bound by a deep affection and mutual respect. Our love was powerful and intense, and it influenced every aspect of our lives. As our romance blossomed, so did our political alliance. With Caesar by my side, I felt invincible. We worked together to strengthen Egypt and improve the lives of our people. Caesar's support gave me the confidence to implement bold reforms and make difficult decisions. But our relationship also had its challenges. Many in the Roman Senate did not approve of our union. They saw me as a foreign queen who had bewitched their leader. Rumors and whispers spread, but Caesar stood by me, defending our relationship and our alliance. In Egypt, our romance was celebrated. The people saw Caesar as a hero who had come to support their queen. Together, we became a symbol of hope and strength. Our love story inspired songs and poems, and the people began to believe in a brighter future. One of our greatest achievements was the reformation of the Egyptian economy. With Caesar's help, I introduced new trade routes and improved our agricultural practices. We built granaries to store surplus grain, ensuring that our people would never go hungry. The wealth of Egypt grew, and our kingdom became more prosperous. We also focused on education and culture. We invited scholars and artists to Alexandria, creating a vibrant intellectual community. The great library became a center of learning, attracting thinkers from all over the world. Our efforts to promote knowledge and culture earned us respect and admiration. As our political influence grew, so did the love between Caesar and me. We shared many joyous moments, but we also faced our share of hardships. The pressures of ruling a kingdom and dealing with political enemies took their toll, but our love gave us strength. One of the most challenging times was when Caesar had to return to Rome. His enemies were growing stronger, and he needed to assert his authority. The night before he left, we stood on the balcony, holding each other close. "Cleopatra," he said, "I must go, but I promise to return. Our love and our alliance will endure." I nodded, trying to hold back my tears. "I will be waiting for you, Caesar. Our love is strong, and it will survive any distance." As Caesar left for Rome, I focused on ruling Egypt. I continued to implement the reforms we had planned, ensuring that our kingdom remained strong and prosperous. I knew that Caesar's support was vital, but I also knew that I had to be a capable ruler in his absence. The months passed, and our love endured the distance. We exchanged letters, sharing our thoughts and dreams. Each letter from Caesar filled me with hope and determination. I knew that we were connected by more than just politics. We were bound by a deep and unbreakable love. One day, a messenger arrived from Rome with a letter from Caesar. My heart raced as I opened it, eager to read his words. He wrote about his challenges in Rome, the battles he had fought, and his longing to return to me. His words were filled with love and devotion, and I felt a renewed sense of strength. With Caesar's encouragement, I continued to lead Egypt with confidence. I worked tirelessly to improve the lives of my people, knowing that each step forward was a testament to our love and partnership. Our bond gave me the courage to face any challenge and the determination to build a better future for our kingdom. Finally, the day came when Caesar returned to Egypt. The people of Alexandria gathered to welcome him, their cheers filling the air. As I stood on the palace steps, my heart swelled with joy at the sight of him. Caesar approached me, a smile on his face. "Cleopatra," he said, "I am home." I took his hand, my eyes filled with tears of happiness. "Welcome back, Caesar. Together, we will continue to build our dream." Our reunion was a celebration of love and triumph. Together, we had overcome many obstacles, and our bond was stronger than ever. As we stood on the balcony, looking out over the Nile, I knew that our love and our alliance would shape the future of Egypt and Rome. Our romance was not just a personal journey, it was a powerful force that influenced the politics and destiny of our kingdoms. With Caesar by my side, I felt ready to face any challenge and to lead Egypt into a new era of prosperity and greatness. Our love was a beacon of hope, a testament to the strength and resilience of our spirits. Chapter 5. Life in Rome. Rome was unlike any place I had ever seen. It was vast, bustling with people and full of life. When Caesar invited me to join him there, I knew it was an opportunity to strengthen our alliance and learn more about the Roman Empire. I arrived in Rome with a mix of excitement and apprehension. The first thing that struck me was the grandeur of the city. The buildings were enormous, made of stone and marble. The streets were crowded with merchants, soldiers, and citizens going about their daily lives. The air was filled with the sounds of conversation, laughter, and the clatter of horses' hooves on the cobblestones. Caesar welcomed me with open arms, introducing me to his friends and allies. He took me to see the great monuments of Rome, the Forum, the Colosseum, and the Pantheon. Each structure was more impressive than the last, showcasing the power and wealth of the Roman Empire. Living in Rome was a new experience for me. The customs and traditions were different from those in Egypt. Romans dressed in togas and spoke Latin. They celebrated festivals and held grand feasts with an abundance of food and wine. I realized that to gain their respect, I needed to adapt to their ways. I began to learn Latin, practicing with Caesar and his advisors. I also observed the Roman women, noting their manners and behavior. They were strong and influential, playing important roles in society. I admired their confidence and grace, and I sought to blend my Egyptian heritage with Roman customs. One of the first challenges I faced was earning the trust of the Roman Senate. Many senators were wary of me, seeing me as a foreign queen who had bewitched their leader. They whispered behind my back, questioning my motives and loyalty. I knew I had to prove myself. Caesar supported me, vouching for my character and intelligence. He arranged for me to speak before the Senate, to present my vision for a strong alliance between Rome and Egypt. I prepared carefully, choosing my words with care and speaking with conviction. The day of my speech arrived, and I stood before the Senate, my heart pounding. I spoke about the shared history of our civilizations, the potential for mutual benefit, and the importance of unity. I emphasized that our alliance could bring prosperity and peace to both our lands. As I spoke, I saw the expressions of the senators change. Some nodded in agreement, while others remained skeptical. When I finished, there was a moment of silence before the hall erupted in applause. I had won their respect, at least for the moment. Life in Rome also brought new friendships. I met influential women like Fulvia and Octavia, who were impressed by my intelligence and determination. They invited me to their homes, where we discussed politics, culture, and the challenges of leadership. These friendships helped me feel more at home in this foreign land. Despite the initial challenges, I began to enjoy my time in Rome. I explored the city, visited the markets, and attended the grand feasts. I admired the Roman art and architecture, finding inspiration in their creativity and innovation. I also introduced some of my own Egyptian customs, sharing our traditions and cuisine with my new friends. One of the most memorable events was a grand banquet hosted by Caesar. The hall was decorated with flowers and filled with the aroma of delicious food. Musicians played soothing melodies and dancers entertained the guests. It was a night of celebration and joy. At the banquet, Caesar and I sat together, surrounded by Roman nobles and foreign dignitaries. We discussed politics and strategy, but we also shared stories and laughter. I felt a sense of belonging, knowing that I was part of something greater than myself. However, not everyone was pleased with my presence in Rome. There were still those who saw me as a threat, a foreign queen who had too much influence over their leader. I had to remain vigilant, always aware of the undercurrents of tension and rivalry. One evening, as I walked through the gardens of Caesar's villa, I reflected on my journey. I had come to Rome as an outsider, but I was slowly becoming part of its fabric. I was learning to navigate its complexities and to find my place within its power structure. I also thought about my people in Egypt. I missed my homeland, the warmth of the sun, and the gentle flow of the Nile. But I knew that my time in Rome was crucial for our future. The alliance with Caesar was essential for Egypt's stability and prosperity. As the months passed, I continued to build bridges between our cultures. I hosted gatherings where Egyptians and Romans could share ideas and learn from each other. I encouraged trade and cooperation, fostering a spirit of mutual respect and understanding. My relationship with Caesar grew deeper. We were partners in every sense, united by our shared goals and dreams. We supported each other through challenges and celebrated our successes together. Our love was a source of strength, giving us the courage to face the uncertainties of the future. Life in Rome taught me many lessons. I learned the importance of adaptability, the power of diplomacy, and the value of alliances. I also discovered my own resilience and ability to lead in unfamiliar circumstances. As I stood on the balcony of Caesar's villa, looking out over the city, I felt a sense of accomplishment. I had come to Rome as a foreign queen, but I had earned the respect and admiration of its people. I had strengthened the bond between our lands, paving the way for a brighter future. I knew that there were still challenges ahead, but I was ready to face them. With Caesar by my side and the support of my new friends, I felt confident in our ability to overcome any obstacle. Together, we would continue to shape the destiny of our kingdoms and leave a lasting legacy for generations to come. Chapter 6. The Ides of March. The Ides of March. A day that changed everything. It started like any other day in Rome. The sky was clear and the streets were busy. Caesar was scheduled to attend a meeting at the Senate. He left our villa with his usual confidence, unaware of the danger that awaited him. I stayed behind, feeling a strange unease in my heart. As the hours passed, the uneasy feeling grew stronger. I tried to focus on my duties, but my thoughts kept returning to Caesar. Then a messenger arrived at the villa, his face pale and his eyes wide with fear. He brought news that shattered my world. "Caesar is dead," he said, his voice trembling. The words hit me like a blow. For a moment I couldn't breathe. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Julius Caesar, the man who had changed my life, was gone. I felt a surge of emotions, grief, anger, disbelief. I wanted to scream, to cry, to lash out at the world. But I knew I had to stay strong. I had to think about what to do next. I gathered my thoughts and called for my trusted advisors. We needed to plan our next steps. Rome was no longer safe for me. With Caesar gone, I had lost my protector and ally. I knew that there would be those who would seek to harm me. "We must return to Egypt," I said, my voice steady despite the turmoil inside me. "We cannot stay here." My advisers agreed. We made preparations to leave as quickly as possible. I knew that leaving Rome meant leaving behind the life I had built with Caesar, but I had no choice. My duty was to my people and to my kingdom. The journey back to Egypt was long and filled with sorrow. As I sailed down the Nile, I reflected on the times I had spent with Caesar, his laughter, his wisdom, his strength. He had been more than just a political ally. He had been my friend, my lover, my partner. I thought about the dreams we had shared for a prosperous Egypt and a united Rome. Those dreams seemed so distant now, shattered by the betrayal that had taken his life. But I knew that I couldn't give up. I had to continue our work, to honor his memory by fighting for our shared vision. When I arrived in Alexandria, I was greeted by my people. They could see the grief in my eyes, but they also saw my determination. I had returned to lead them, to guide Egypt through this difficult time. I spent the first few days mourning in private, allowing myself to feel the pain of my loss. But soon, I knew I had to step back into my role as queen. There were many challenges to face, and I needed to be strong for my people. One of the first tasks was to ensure the stability of our kingdom. With Caesar gone, there was a power vacuum in Rome that could have repercussions for Egypt. I needed to secure our borders and strengthen our alliances. I reached out to our neighboring kingdoms, reaffirming our friendships and forging new bonds. I also focused on the internal affairs of Egypt. I met with my advisers, discussing ways to improve our economy and strengthen our military. I wanted to ensure that we were prepared for any threats that might come our way. Throughout this time, I kept Caesar's memory close to my heart. His teachings, his vision, his love, they all guided me as I made decisions for my kingdom. I wanted to make him proud, to show the world that his legacy lived on through my actions. One evening, as I walked through the palace gardens, I looked up at the stars. They were the same stars that had shone over Rome, over the Nile, over all the places where Caesar and I had shared our dreams. I felt a sense of peace, knowing that he was still with me in spirit. I also thought about the future. I knew that there were still many challenges ahead, but I felt ready to face them. I had learned so much from Caesar, and I was determined to use that knowledge to build a better Egypt. In the months that followed, I worked tirelessly to strengthen our kingdom. I introduced new trade routes, improved our agricultural practices, and invested in education and culture. I wanted to create a prosperous and thriving Egypt, one that would honor Caesar's memory and fulfill our shared dreams. There were times when I felt overwhelmed by the weight of my responsibilities. But I always remembered Caesar's words, his encouragement, his belief in me. Those memories gave me the strength to keep going, to keep fighting for our vision. As time passed, the pain of losing Caesar began to fade, replaced by a deep sense of gratitude for the time we had shared. I knew that I had been fortunate to have known him, to have loved him, and to have been loved by him. The Ides of March had taken Caesar from me, but it had also given me a renewed sense of purpose. I was more determined than ever to lead Egypt into a new era of prosperity and greatness. I knew that the road ahead would not be easy, but I was ready to face whatever challenges came my way. With each passing day, I felt more confident in my role as queen. I knew that I was not alone. I had the support of my people and the memory of Caesar to guide me. Together, we would build a brighter future for Egypt, one that would honor the legacy of the man who had changed my life forever. Chapter 7. Rebuilding Egypt. Rebuilding Egypt after Caesar's death was the greatest challenge of my life. I knew that I had to be strong, not just for myself, but for my people. The loss of Caesar had left a void, but it also gave me a renewed sense of purpose. I was determined to make Egypt a prosperous and powerful kingdom once more. The first step was to stabilize our economy. Egypt was rich in resources, but we needed to manage them wisely. I called a meeting with my advisors and laid out my plans. We discussed ways to improve our agriculture, increase trade, and ensure that our people had enough to eat. One of the key strategies was to build new granaries to store surplus grain. This would protect us from famine during bad harvests and allow us to trade with other nations. I also encouraged farmers to adopt new techniques to increase their yields. We introduced better irrigation systems and shared knowledge about crop rotation. Trade was another vital aspect of our economy. I knew that Egypt's location made it a natural hub for commerce between Africa, Asia, and Europe. I sent envoys to neighboring kingdoms, forging new trade agreements and strengthening old ones. We exported our grain, papyrus, and linen, bringing wealth back to our land. To support this increased trade, I invested in our infrastructure. We built new roads and improved our ports, making it easier for merchants to travel and trade. These projects also created jobs for our people, giving them a sense of purpose and pride. But economic strength was not enough. I wanted Egypt to be a center of culture and learning. I turned my attention to the Great Library of Alexandria. This magnificent institution had been neglected, and I was determined to restore it to its former glory. I invited scholars from all over the world to come and share their knowledge. The library became a beacon of learning once more. Scholars studied mathematics, astronomy, literature, and philosophy. They wrote books and taught students, spreading knowledge throughout the kingdom. I was proud to see Egypt regain its reputation as a center of culture and intellect. Art and architecture were also important to me. I wanted our cities to reflect the beauty and grandeur of our civilization. We commissioned new buildings, temples, and statues, blending Greek and Egyptian styles. These projects showcased our wealth and artistic talent, impressing visitors from other lands. One of my favorite projects was the renovation of the Temple of Isis at Philae. This temple was sacred to our people, and I wanted it to be a place of beauty and peace. We restored the carvings and added new sculptures, creating a serene environment for worship and reflection. Education was another priority. I believed that a strong kingdom needed educated citizens. I established schools where boys and girls could learn to read, write, and study mathematics and science. We also taught them about our history and culture, instilling a sense of pride in their heritage. I often visited these schools, talking to the children and encouraging them to pursue their studies. I wanted them to know that their queen cared about their future and believed in their potential. Seeing their bright faces and eager minds filled me with hope for the future of Egypt. Of course, there were challenges along the way. Not everyone supported my reforms. Some of the old nobles resisted change, fearing it would diminish their power. But I was determined to push forward. I held meetings, listened to their concerns, and worked to find compromises. I knew that to succeed, I needed the support of my people. I also faced external threats. Rome was still a powerful presence, and I had to be careful in my dealings with them. I maintained a delicate balance, ensuring that Egypt remained independent while fostering good relations with the Romans. I knew that our future depended on diplomacy as much as on strength. Through it all, I felt the presence of Caesar guiding me. His teachings, his vision, his love, they all inspired me to keep going. I often thought about what he would do, how he would handle the challenges we faced. His memory gave me strength and courage. The years passed, and Egypt began to flourish. Our economy grew stronger, our culture thrived, and our people felt a renewed sense of pride. We celebrated festivals, honored our gods, and shared our successes with the world. The changes we made were not just superficial, they were deep and lasting, creating a foundation for a brighter future. One evening, as I walked through the streets of Alexandria, I felt a sense of peace. I saw children playing, merchants trading, and families enjoying their lives. I knew that we had come a long way from the dark days after Caesar's death. We had rebuilt our kingdom, and it was stronger than ever. I looked up at the stars, remembering the times Caesar and I had talked about our dreams. I felt a sense of fulfillment, knowing that I had honored his memory by making those dreams a reality. I knew that there were still challenges ahead, but I was ready to face them. With the support of my people and the strength of our culture, I felt confident that Egypt would continue to prosper. Rebuilding Egypt was not just a task, it was a journey of discovery and growth. I had learned so much about myself, my people, and the world. I felt a deep connection to my kingdom, a sense of responsibility and pride. I knew that our story was far from over, and I was excited to see what the future held. As I stood there, surrounded by the beauty and vitality of my kingdom, I felt a deep sense of gratitude. I was grateful for the support of my advisors, the hard work of my people, and the legacy of Caesar. Together, we had built something beautiful, something lasting, and I knew that as long as we continued to work together, the future of Egypt would be bright. Chapter 8. Cleopatra and Mark Antony. The day I met Mark Antony was a turning point in my life and in the history of Egypt. Antony, a powerful Roman general, arrived in Alexandria with a fleet of ships, seeking an alliance. The tension was palpable as we prepared to meet. I knew that this encounter could shape the future of our kingdoms. Antony entered the palace with his entourage, a man of imposing stature and confident demeanor. His presence filled the room. I welcomed him warmly, aware that first impressions were crucial. He looked at me with keen interest, and I could sense a mutual curiosity. "Queen Cleopatra," he said, bowing slightly, "I am honored to be in your presence." "General Antony," I replied, meeting his gaze, "welcome to Alexandria. I hope we can find common ground and work together for the benefit of our people." We sat and talked, surrounded by my advisors and his officers. Antony spoke of Rome's power and the potential for a strong alliance with Egypt. I listened carefully, weighing his words and considering my response. I knew that an alliance with Antony could strengthen my position, but I also knew that I had to be cautious. After the formal discussions, we moved to a more relaxed setting. A grand feast was prepared, showcasing the best of Egyptian cuisine. Antony was impressed by the splendor of the palace and the richness of our culture. As the evening progressed, we found ourselves talking more personally, sharing stories of our lives and our dreams. I could see that Antony was a man of ambition and passion, much like Caesar. But there was also a warmth and humor in him that I found captivating. He spoke of his battles, his victories, and his challenges with a mixture of pride and humility. I felt a connection forming between us, a bond that went beyond politics. Over the next few days, Antony and I spent more time together. We toured Alexandria, visiting the great library, the temples, and the bustling markets. Antony was fascinated by our history and culture, and he admired the progress we had made since Caesar's time. I could see that he respected me as a leader, and that respect was mutual. Our relationship soon blossomed into a romance. Antony's strength and confidence complemented my own, and together we felt unstoppable. We shared a deep affection and a mutual desire to create a powerful alliance that would benefit both our lands. Our love was passionate and intense, but it was also strategic. We both knew that our union could bring stability and prosperity to our kingdoms. Antony decided to stay in Alexandria longer than planned. He was drawn to the city and to me, and I welcomed his presence. We spent our days discussing plans for the future, and our nights sharing moments of tenderness and laughter. I felt a sense of joy and hope that I had not felt since Caesar's death. But our romance was not without its challenges. Back in Rome, there were those who disapproved of Antony's relationship with a foreign queen. Rumors and gossip spread, questioning his loyalty and his intentions. Antony, however, remained steadfast. He believed in our alliance and our love, and he was determined to protect both. We faced political obstacles as well. Rome was a powerful entity, and its influence stretched far and wide. Antony had to navigate the complexities of Roman politics while maintaining his commitment to our partnership. It was a delicate balance, but we supported each other through every challenge. One of the most significant moments in our alliance was the signing of the Treaty of Alexandria. This agreement solidified our partnership, outlining the terms of our cooperation and mutual support. We agreed to share resources, military aid, and strategic information. The treaty was a symbol of our commitment to each other and to our shared vision for the future. Our alliance brought immediate benefits to Egypt. With Antony's support, we strengthened our military, secured our borders, and expanded our trade networks. The people of Egypt began to see the positive impact of our partnership, and their trust in my leadership grew. Antony and I also focused on cultural exchange. We encouraged scholars, artists, and thinkers to travel between our lands, sharing knowledge and ideas. This exchange enriched both our civilizations, fostering a spirit of cooperation and mutual respect. Despite the challenges, our love continued to grow. Antony's presence in my life brought me joy and strength. We were not just allies, we were partners in every sense. Together we faced the world with determination and hope, confident in our ability to overcome any obstacle. One evening, as we stood on the balcony of the palace, looking out over the Nile, I felt a deep sense of contentment. The river flowed gently under the moonlight, a symbol of the life and vitality of our land. Antony stood beside me, his hand in mine, and I knew that we were building something lasting and beautiful. "Cleopatra," he said, his voice soft and filled with emotion, "together we can achieve greatness. Our love and our alliance will shape the future of our kingdoms." I nodded, feeling the truth of his words. "Yes, Antony, together we are stronger. We will create a legacy that will be remembered for generations to come." As we stood there, united in our love and our vision, I felt a sense of peace and purpose. The future was uncertain, but with Antony by my side, I knew that we could face anything. Our bond was powerful, forged in the fires of passion and ambition, and it would guide us through whatever lay ahead. The encounter between Cleopatra and Mark Antony had indeed led to a powerful alliance and a romance that would shape the destiny of Egypt and Rome. Our story was far from over, and I was ready to face the challenges and opportunities that the future would bring, confident in the strength of our partnership and the depth of our love.